Hello and welcome to Grateful Glamper. We are here to help you with RV living, to keep things simple, to help keep you organized, and to just make sure that you're having fun while you're out there on the road. In today's video, we're going to show you the three things, and yes, only three things that you really need to use full hookups at an RV campground. So let's jump in and get started. So full hookups in an RV campground means that you have all three of your utilities there and accessible for you. Basically, it makes it feel like home when you're on the road because you have things like your water hookup, you have an electricity hookup to run everything electrical in the RV, and then you also have a sewer hookup so that you don't have to worry about those waste tanks filling up. You can drain them into the sewer at the RV campground. Now, there's really three main things that you're gonna wanna make sure that you have with you in utilizing all of these main types of hookups. How am I supposed to shower in this? So let's get started with number one, your water hookups. So now when you are hooked up to water in an RV, most RVs are very, very similar in how you hook up. And that is, you're gonna have some sort of switch that will switch you from pulling up the water in the freshwater tank to utilizing the water that you're hooked into at the campground. So once that you are hooked into that water, you can flip this switch here and it will actually be using the water that's coming in from the water spigot and not drawing up from that water tank. Now, when it comes to the water spigot, there's something very important that you need to have that I'm going to show you. So something that you absolutely must have when you're hooked into a water connection at a campground is a water pressure regulator. Now, you have to remember that the lines inside of your RV are not like standard household pipes. They can't take a lot of high pressure. And so you never know what sort of pressure you're gonna have with these types of water hookups in a campground. You need a regulator to protect your RV from things like burst pipes and or flooding. Now, a couple of things that we have learned in the last 4 years of RVing when it comes to this. You can get very inexpensive standard water pressure regulators that will basically just dial that pressure down, and there's no way to adjust it. It's just set it and forget it, which might sound convenient until you go to take a shower and you just don't have the water pressure that you want to have. So this type of an adjustable water pressure regulator that we got from Amazon, we'll put a link in the description below, is super helpful because this we can actually set the pressure where we want it to a little bit higher pressure. We've got nice pressure in the RV, but we also know it's not too high of pressure where we're running the risk of damaging anything inside of the rig. So the number two thing that we're going to talk about is the electrical hookup. Now, something you absolutely need to have when it comes to your electrical hookup is a surge protector. Now, we have this one from Progressive Industries, and this is why you need this. I can't tell you how many times we've actually pulled into a campground and seen these electrical hookups actually blackened, or we've heard horror stories really where something is not quite right in the wiring of these, and it can cause damage to the electrical system in your RV. That gets very, very pricey. So do yourself a favor, spend a couple $100s to get a nice quality surge protector. We use the one from Progressive Industries. It's very, very easy to use. It also gives you some information when you first connect it in to make sure that there's not a problem with this electrical pedestal before that you actually plug it in. And then just a quick tip for those of you that might be newer to the RV life, when you first pull in and you go to hook up to the electrical connections, all of them have this breaker panel that should be turned off. So you wanna make sure that that is turned off before that you plug in. After you plug in, then you'll turn those breakers on. Turn it off! So number three has to do with sewer, and that is why I'm actually wearing these gloves right now. So your sewer hookups are going to be one of the pieces that you have when you have a full hookups campground. Now, here's a little note. If you go to make a reservation at a campground and it shows WE when it comes to hookups. Now, that means you just have water and electric and not sewer. Full hookups are going to be all three of your utilities. So for the sewer hose, the third thing that you really want to have with you is one of these ladders that actually then makes it so where, you know what, is flowing in the right direction, which is downhill. Now, a lot of campgrounds in some states are going to actually require that you have something that does elevate that sewer hose off of the ground and that it's not just laying on the ground. So you want to have one of these with you. Other types of campgrounds, depending upon their hookup style, are going to maybe also require something that is called a donut. This is basically like a little rubber thing that creates a seal. Really depends upon the campground. Some of them are primitive, and so they're going to require something like this to create a nice seal from where your sewer hose is going into that in the ground. Now, if you're using one of these donuts, you also want to have some of these weights to put over the top of your sewer hose so everything is sitting nice and seated. You do not want a loose sewer connection at any point in time. So we'll have links for these in the description below on Amazon. Now, here's something that we see a lot of new RVers make mistakes with when it comes to sewer hookups, and that is thinking that once you're hooked up, those waste tank valves, you just open those up. Do not leave your black tank valve open. It will create something that is known as a pyramid of poo. Now, what happens with black tank type waste is that there's a lot of liquids, and those liquids are needed to break down the solids. If you leave that valve open, all of the liquids are going to be constantly flowing out and the solids will build up. So you definitely need to make sure to keep that black tank valve closed. What we usually do is we usually leave our gray open, but on the last day before we're ready to depart, we close that gray tank so that we can build up some water in that gray tank when we go to dump to be able to flush after dumping the black tank. Before we get to the next step, I wanted to take a quick minute to thank the sponsor of today's video, campgroundviews.com. Now, we are loving Campground Views to be able to plan our trips, because with Campground Views, you can actually take a virtual tour of the campground before that you book it. This is super important for things like state parks and national parks, where you don't actually get a chance to see it before you book because the websites aren't super helpful in that area. So with Campground Views, you can take a look before you book and know which site is really the best site to book. There'll be a link in the description below with an exclusive discount for our viewers that we know you're going to want to check out. Okay, back to the video. So a great way that you can show that you appreciate experiences over things are with our t-shirts, experiences over things. Now, this is absolutely our motto and part of the reason why we live this lifestyle, why that we've decided to become minimalists and be able to put our resources towards travel versus other things. These are available on our website in the description at the link below.
As a guy, there's certain things that I just like, and so we're gonna go ahead and give you a few what we call bonus things. And one of them is this little two-way valve. So what this does is allows you to basically have two hoses, converts the one spigot into two different hoses. So I can leave one of the fresh tank hoses hooked up while we have this second hose to use to wash off feet if there's sand on our feet, or hook it up to one of the flush valves later after I pull off the other hose. It just gives you a little bit more flexibility. So the next thing is these quick release devices. These are a game changer. So look at how fast this is to connect this up and then clip it in. Boom. Disconnected, connected. And I have these basically on everything. So that way I can just quickly connect up and we're done. One thing I do like about this particular brand is the other ones are really hard to turn the knobs to turn them off and on. This one is really, really super easy. From the research I've done, this is probably one of the better ones that you can get. It's very easy to turn off and on. Put the link for both of these in the description below.
So you'll have to leave us a comment below. Let us know what gadgets that you have found make using full hookups easier for RV living. We love to hear what you guys are doing, but also it helps the RV community as a whole when we can support each other with this type of information. I'm gonna put a video with just some of the basic necessities that you want for RV life right up here. Do not forget to subscribe right down here. We've got a ton of travel videos coming for you this summer. You're going to want to see every single one. If we don't see you out on the road or around the campground, we'll see you in the next video.